Howdy, this is James Helm of Helm Enterprises Forging Division. I've had a number of people ask me about how I do my Genghis Khan style wraps. I'm not planning on making this video public. If you ask me how I do it, then I'm just going to direct you to the video. At some point I may make it public, I don't know, but at this point it's just going to be a private video. The way I do it is very simple. It's similar to the Japanese Ito wrap, but there's no twisting. I saw it on a Mongolian saber at a Genghis Khan exhibit, and I just looked at it carefully and played around on my own when I got back home with some paracord until I figured out how it was done. So we're starting out here with the knife. I want to point this out, that has no cutting edge at all right now. After I do the wrap and have it sealed in Minwax Wood Hardener, then I'll put an edge on it. So if you're doing this on something that already has a cutting edge, be careful, because you can cut the snot out of yourself. I already have my base wrap down. However you want to do this, you can. I have my own method, but it's not particularly important. It's just whatever you want underneath the wrap that's going to show through, get that down first. For the overlay, I'm using standard parachute cord. It's been stripped of its core, so it lays flatter. I usually use about 4 yards. That ends up with more than is needed, but that gives you plenty so you don't accidentally run out as you get down to the end and find out, oh crap, I gotta cut a new piece. And I just measure it out the old medieval method: 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard. This is about 1.5 yards. No, it's about 4. Okay. And then just find the center of your cord, and we're going to start at the front. And just make one little loop around like that. And it's very simple. You just cross it over itself. Make sure that it's tied up on the top and bottom. Make sure it's tied up against itself. And pull it down. And then go to the other side and same thing. Cross it over itself. Pull it tight. Make sure that your cord doesn't have a bunch of gaps in it. Pull it down tight. So just pull it tight, flip it over, and do the same thing again. Pull it tight, flip it over, cross it over itself, and then pull it tight, flip it over, same thing, until you cover the whole length of the handle. It is possible to reverse the direction of the cross, so you got to make sure that you're doing it the same way every time. Always throw the right side over the left. So every time you turn it over, make sure you're doing it the same way. See, I could put the right first and then the left over and go the opposite of what it had been, which I've never played around with doing it alternating. If you're going to do that, you can make it look purposeful, but just having one that's out of order from the rest of it is just shows you made a mistake. So be careful, make sure that you keep it going the same direction every time. And then of course I'm holding it by the handle now, and I'm getting less and less to grip. I'm going to flip it over and hold it by the blade and just make sure it's the same direction yet again. So now you see it's still crossing the same way it was when I was holding it 180 degrees from where it is now. Keep your gaps tight and try to make sure the little diamonds stay even. You can adjust some after you're done. Each time I pull it around, I anchor it with my fingers in one hand and then pull it tight with the other one before I flip it over and do the other side. You don't want it loose. If it's loose, it'll move around and it'll mess up the little diamonds. So just keep going all the way until you have the full length of the handle covered. And I don't have a whole lot of natural skill with knots and cords and braiding. So all this is just sheer persistence. And I didn't have any instruction on how this was done. This was just me messing around with paracord, playing until I figured out how to make it work. So I've got the whole handle wrapped now. It's time to anchor it at the end. The way I do it is I drill a 1/2 inch hole at the end of my tang, and then I just feed it through. Anchor it from unraveling with your finger and your thumb. And I do a few loops on one side, and then I'll do a few loops on the other side. Usually about 3. And that way, if I lose my grip a little bit, it won't unravel too much. There are other ways to anchor the wrap, I'm sure. This is just how I do it. Just feed it through, loop around, feed it through, loop around. Try to keep your paracord straight so there aren't any twists in it. Okay, you can see that I've about midway on the one side. I've only got one more loop to go on this side. So I'm going to come around. I'm going to make sure I've got a loose area to pull through. Okay, backtracking just a little bit. I leave enough of a loop to go through, feed it through, and just pull. And then finish off the other side. Same thing. There's several different ways of tying it off there. Doesn't matter a whole lot, it just be consistent. If you do it one way on one side, do it the same way on the other side. Make it look purposeful. So make sure you have enough loop there. Come around, feed it through, and okay, now I don't have any gaps. Looks good. I'm going to go ahead and pull it down tight. Now you can see how much I have left over. So I probably could have gone 3 yards and still been fine. So now, after I tie my Turk's head knot, which I'm not showing in this video, after I tie my Turk's head knot up here and I try to overlap it over the front of that wrap, then I will trim the ends on it, and I'll trim the ends here as close back up to the wrap as I can, and then use a lighter and melt the little frayed ends where I've cut it off. and then I seal the whole thing with Minwax Wood Hardener. There it is. It takes a little bit of practice to get down the process. It's simple. If I figured it out on my own, then surely with the help of this video you can get it down yourself. Thank you.